Well, the coconut tree fall to perfection, leaving all of us awake into this splendid castle with the grove.
Hello, I'm Nikki from The Next Big Thing and Jeff and the Angry Steak. And we've got an in-person interview, this is the first one, with Dave from Fiffdimension, who's playing on Saturday. Hello, Dave.
Nikki.
So do you want to tell me a little bit about Fiffdimension and what that is?
Well, I've used it as a label for my various music projects over the years. It was kind of started as a nickname in high school. Went to New Plymouth Boys High, so it was all kind of conservative rugby type culture, and I didn't quite fit in, and maybe that influenced my musical direction in some ways.
I think that's quite that. I identify with that, not quite fitting in, and I suppose that's where I've always been with music. It's like been my best friend when I've not fitted in, and kept me quite sane. So, what sort of music do you do in Fifth Dimension?
It varies. But it kind of started off as just me as a singer-songwriter type project, but wasn't actually until later years that I started playing with other people in bands and things. So I kind of refer to myself as an outsider musician since I was largely self-taught. I have picked up a little bit of technique over the years, but mostly just done my own thing with it. Main instruments would be guitar, bit of banjo, sometimes bass, the stringed instruments and harmonica. So sort of starting off from a singer-songwriter point of view, but then going off into other things. So some punk and free jazz and world music influences and whatever I've picked up along the way.
That's cool. I think the best musicians I've ever jammed with are the ones that are quite eclectic, who don't stick a genre on themselves. Because I started out many moons ago as a classical player. So I started out when I was a young kid as a clarinetist. Believe it or not, that's where I started. And I think we morph into our different things. It's great that you play all those instruments. So is it just that you really enjoy playing music? And instruments, I would say.
Well, enjoy it when it's going well, and it can have its own frustrations, of course.
Yeah, I think the trumpet was, when I picked up the trumpet, I was an older person, I was 25, and it's not your typical wind instrument where you can just pick it up and blow it, and you get notes out of it. There's a lot of technique, and I've got ADHD and I want to be good at things straight away. And the trumpet was a big frustration for me because you have to actually...
It's hard for a beginner just to produce a note.
You can't just pick it up and produce a note. No, you have to actually work at having been fit enough, fit with your diaphragm and fit with your chops, what we call our chops. And so it was like, have you been used to picking up a recorder or a clarinet or a guitar and you get a noise out of it? The trumpet was a big frustration for the first month and very not nice to listen to. So what musical instrument has been your biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge, possibly the guitar, actually, because it's an instrument that it's relatively easy to learn the basics. That's one of the great things about it. But on the other hand, it can also be a lifelong journey. If you see a guitar, you don't know what type of music someone's about to play on it, so it's very, very versatile.
I think that's right, because that's another one of my things. When I first started out, it was a thing that connected me and my dad to each other. I'm sorry guys, I'm just going to switch this down because this is going to just keep pinging at the moment. Right, cool, sorry about that. I've got a few things open. So, the guitar connected me and my dad, because my dad was a guitarist. He played the 12-string, and he was a folk guitarist, so I've got a little bit of a passion for folk music. And we used to spend a lot of time, he would play his guitar and sing. and I always wanted to play the guitar. And my dad tried to teach me when I was a kid, and it was another one of those I can't do it straight away kind of instruments. And so I really revisited it later, and I never really got very good at it. But it is a nice instrument, and you could do the classical side. And the rock side of it, and there's some really amazing classical guitarists out there.
Absolutely. I mean, for me in the beginning, it was just some sort of basic chords as an accompaniment to the words, which is actually kind of what I'll be doing this weekend. But yeah, it does have so much potential, and some amazing guitar players out there.
I think that's quite interesting though. It's like, because you write songs like me, and the lyrics. It's interesting when you get in a group of people. Some people value I'm a lyricist, I like lyrics. So, and your lyrics tell stories. Some of them.
Some of them.
Yeah. I think that's what I remember. Because we did an interview back on the music marathon many moons ago.
So that was in 2019.
Was it? Is that long ago?
Way before the pandemic, back in the old days. Yeah, so that was when I met you.
Yeah, that's right. So I've got connections to quite a few of the people that have come back, so like lyrics, because you were saying that it's quite important that people hear your lyrics, because that's one of the big features of your songs. Do you enjoy telling stories with your lyrics?
Not necessarily. I mean, it can also just be about the sound of the words, and people can create their own meaning in some cases. But for the first set, I'm going to be doing some very oldies, actually. They're from the 19th century. There's a book of poetry that was written by my great-great-grandfather, John Colley. He was a Scottish immigrant who came to New Zealand in 1858, but a couple of years prior, in 1856, he'd written this book of poems, and it's called Poems and Lyrics, so that gives us a clue that he intended some of it to be set to music. So that's what I've been doing over the past few years, and my nephews have joined in on some of it as well.
Wow, what a legacy, really! So did he publish the book?
Yeah, he self-published it. So he was from a small town called Boyndy, which is in Banffshire, near Inverness, I think.
Oh yeah, I've been to Inverness. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. I had planned to go to Scotland in 2020, but then COVID-19 happened, so so didn't go according to plan. So I've just had to imagine Scotland for now.
It's a beautiful place. I've got relatives in Scotland, and Inverness is they call it the granite. It's a city of granite. There's a lot of granite buildings there. It's beautiful. Spent time cruising the Caledonian Canal on Loch Ness, and that goes from Fort William to Inverness, and that was the final destination. It was really good, yeah. So you should get over to Scotland.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, yeah, my on my mum's side of the family, my grandma was Scottish, so I've got a bit of Scots heritage.
You've got quite a lot of Scottish there. But what an amazing thing! You don't think that when you write these lyrics down and you store them somewhere that somebody might pick them up like 100 years, 200, a bit more than 100 years later, and do something with them, you know.
Yeah. So no, I like to think John Colley would have been pleased that his words were still being discovered, and he also had quite a connection to the Wairarapa as he. He arrived in Dunedin and then later moved to Wellington, and then in the 1870s he was involved in helping build the Rimataka Incline, the railway route across to Featherston, which is where I now live. So there's a lot of these historical resonances. Yeah,
it's pretty cool what comes up, isn't it, when you start looking at that? That's a big legacy as well, the Rimataka Incline.
It's a great bike track nowadays.
Yeah, that's right. I ran it once. It was one of those things as well, but that was interesting. That was when I was running. I don't run anymore. Not if I can help it. And you're going to play all your instruments at the weekend?
I'll bring one or two guitars and the banjo and the harmonica, I guess. So kind of the singer-songwriter set, but I'll put a couple of my own twists on it.
And you're going to maybe throw some punk ones in.
Yeah. I thought I'd do a couple of my own oldies actually that I sort of wrote back in the 90s and early 2000s. Maybe see what the current young generation make of it.
That's interesting because there is quite a few youth bands in there this week, and I really think that's a great thing because when I was at school, like I say, we just got the option of learning classical instruments. We didn't get a chance to explore being in that kind of band. So it's interesting now that the kids are doing that more than the actual classical instruments. I never thought I'd put a trumpet in a band until I met Spank.
Why not?
I know, yeah. It was like I always had it pigeonholed in the brass band area where I was sort of playing at the time, and then it just came out of there, and then became in some of the punk songs we wrote. That was quite crazy when we started putting it in punk songs. So you never know where you're gonna go. And I'm just going to mention now, but we're going to do a separate interview. Dave will be coming back with his band on the 15th, The Troubled Times, to do some more music. So quickly, because we're going to interview you later, but what is The Troubled Times?
Okay, so The Troubled Times is a trio. We'll be playing on the 15th of July at the second gig. So that's myself on bass and David Heath, the drummer from Spank, who some of you will know, and also Anthony Milton is the lead guitarist. Anthony Milton's had a very interesting underground sort of career. He's kind of known in experimental music circles, maybe, but he has a extensive back catalogue, and I'm very, very pleased to be working with him. He lives here in Masterton.
Not far away from where we're doing this recording, a couple of doors down. So I might get him in person next time. So, like we were talking just before we started this recording, about like how difficult it is in Wairarapa as a musician to play. How would you feel if we did have a venue? What would you look for that venue to provide?
Oh, just the opportunity to play is so valuable for musicians. I mean, obviously we all practice at home and can do recordings and things, but something that kind of goes to another level once you get the audience involved. You get the feedback, what works and what doesn't, and just the chance to play live really improves people's musicianship, and also for the audience it's gives them a chance to see something new. It's really great to have original live music in the Wairarapa again. It's something we've missed. Yeah,
it's been difficult for the original bands, I would say, more than the cover bands, because they can play anywhere really. But us original artists, we're like the sort of groundbreakers really. We're the people that don't do things typically like the other musicians.
No, well, a cover song has to be written by someone in the first place.
Indeed, but like people don't seem to value that until it's become, they don't like taking those risks, I don't know, that's how I feel about it anyway. So, is there anybody you're particularly excited to see in the lineup?
Well, there's a new band called Jeff and the Angry Stick, I think I've heard of. I don't think I've seen them yet.
It's our first gig, actually. We've been throwing up how do we interview ourselves. So that's going to be an interesting one, because we're going to do that at band practice tonight. So that could be an interesting one.
And also curious to see what some of the younger people on the scene bring to it, because I really have no idea what to expect. So that's an aspect that I'm looking forward to.
So from my point of view, you being with us is very exciting because you do something a little bit different. I'm excited for young people to see something that they might not have seen before. I think that's, for me, a venue should be showing lots of different kinds of music, and people should be accepting that there's a lot of different influences and a lot of different kinds of music. Oh
yes, there's so many different genres out there, and it's all much easier to access online than in the past. So, I mean, punk rock's great, but so is classical music, so is jazz. Hip hop in any genre you can do something interesting with.
Indeed. Well, thanks for talking to me. It's been fascinating listening to you again, and I just love the idea that your grandfather wrote those poems and you're doing something with them. Your great-grandfather, your ancestor. Great-great-grandfather. I just find that, like, amazing that we can pull that through the ages and do something else. So come along and see that. It's going to be amazing. Tickets are available at Under the Radar. $15 if you buy them today. If you come tomorrow, it's going to be $20 on the door. $12 for students and college kids, and free under that age. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming, Dave.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
Yay!